Hey guys, in our first video we went over some of the basic stuff and making actions. In this one we're going to be going over making custom classes and races. So what I forgot to have us do in the last video, it's not a big deal, but one thing that can be helpful is whatever your mod is, you should make a shortcut and put it to your desktop because you're going to be opening stuff and closing stuff a lot, and it can be kind of annoying to have to reopen Steam and reopen Erannorth and browse files and go through like 10 different folders. So this just keeps everything simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new folder called archetypes, and in it we're going to make two folders that say classes and races. So let's start with classes, and you can name it whatever you want your class name to be. Just make sure it's this JSON file, and then we open it up. It has a lot of text here, and the text can look like a lot, but it's actually pretty simple. All I did was I opened up Raven's Erannorth and his archetypes and his classes, and these are all both the player classes but also the monster classes. So you're going to want to find a class that's one of these on the left of the list. So maybe the one that's closest to the one that you want to play to get an idea. So I just found Mercenary, and I opened it, and I selected all of this. Highlight it, or Control A is a shortcut, and then Control C to copy. And I went into my Super Mercenary here, as I named it, and I just Super Mercenary, and I just pasted all of that stuff in here. And so now let's just go over some of it. It's really not too complicated. You have your description here. You have your health that they start with, actions, their stats, minimum cards, how many summoned guys they start with. The AI is just for monsters. There are also monsters that are considered mercenaries, so you don't have to worry at all about this AI part. You can leave it the way it is. You can empty it out if you want, like that. And then your expertise fields are the skills that you start out with here when you're creating your character. And then discipline is for cards. I can't remember the exact specifics, but there's something like for cards that will create things, it will sometimes pull from this, or if cards say like mercenaries get this extra effect with the card, this is where it will do the check for what you have. So it can be useful in here to just put the same thing you would have for expertise, and then maybe your class name in here if you're going to make cards that are like, oh, for wizards only, have this extra effect. This main weapon and shield and starting equipment I haven't used. You do something different for your starting kits, so I wouldn't worry about it. I maybe if you put stuff in there, it would start that with your character too. I'm not sure. I've never messed with it. And then your starting deck is just going to be the cards that you start with here. And what I did is the Iceyy Bolt that we created in our last video. I added it right here, Iceyy Bolt. So whatever you write in here will be the cards that they start with. And I put in this Iceyy Bolt with two Ys just to kind of show if you have a card that doesn't exist, it's going to be this white color and you can't click on it. And you know that something's wrong. Skill tree, I'm not sure. I don't worry about. And then any perks that you have that we'll go over later, all your perks will be right in here. And then resistances and proficiencies. The one most common thing that happens, to me, maybe other people too, is that when you are editing these files, it's the same as with the actions, where it needs a comma between each thing. So if you make changes and it's not working and you're not sure why, a lot of times what I might do is I might say, hey, I don't like this part right here. I'm going to delete it, and then I'll save it and not realize that I left this extra comma here, and that's going to mess everything up. Just make sure you pay attention to that. So that's kind of going over the basics of how to make a class. And now for races, it's almost exactly the same. So we have a folder called races. We have the name of it, our JSON file here. And then all this stuff in here, I just opened up ravens and species, and I found a race that already exists. So this one is just humans. I just put superhumans. So you can open this up, archetypes, races, humans. And that gives you a good template. And then a lot of it's the same stuff. You have the description, the base stats, the card limit. This is for AI. You don't have to worry about it. And then disciplines is that check I told you about. So you might have a card that says only humans can do this thing, or whatever. The starting deck is just these few cards because it's just the base human. We're not going into subclasses or subraces in this video. And then it's the same. The expertise are the skills that they start with. You should have those also in discipline. And then whatever perks, which we'll go over in another video. And then same, resistance and proficiency. So you can kind of tweak these numbers and mess around with them to make your own custom races and classes. The last thing before we forget, inside our folder here, at the beginning we have our modloader, and so we have to tell the game, hey, we want you to include these new files that we put in. So far you should have your cards, and then whatever you have it named there. And then you should also have, I guess you don't need the .tdb in this part, but you want this -- races, and you would put whatever custom races you have. That tells the game, hey, put it in this section of the game. And then you have your classes, .. classes, and same thing. It tells the game, hey, put it in this section of the game. You can put your own custom picture for here, but I'm not going to go over that in this video. But if you do some digging, you can probably figure out how to do it. It's not too complicated. And that's it for this video. There's how you make custom classes and custom races.